Yes, there was a time before YouTube where we had to watch VHS, and we're luckily going to watch it again with VHS Halloween. Yes, this franchise has not stopped since returning, and we're back again. So let's see what this one is all about, starting with the IMDb plot. A collection of Halloween-themed videotapes unleashes a series of twisted, blood-soaked tales, turning Trick or Treat into a struggle for survival. All right, so yeah, I'm surprised they didn't do this Halloween type version one maybe a little sooner. But it is here. I guess we've branched out from VHS date whatever year to now a little bit more themed specific words, and now we got Halloween. So yeah, this is definitely a new one, obviously shown on Shudder, and excited to have yet another go at this. I said this on Twitter, while we had some franchises come back, risen from the dead here, and then we've had some remakes. Many, I would say, which, maybe we would have preferred not, or at least for me, to leave it alone, just leave it. They've brought this back, and I think it's worked spectacularly. For someone like me who likes blood and guts, all these VHS series have so many short films with so much blood and guts. It has been so fun and so great. So you already know, kind of where I'm headed with this one. I think, most of the VHS reviews I've done for the last couple of them, most of those films have ended up in my top 10. Why? Because, as I always say with my top 10, it's my list, and I tend to go with movies that just, for my likes and what I go with. And obviously Blood and Guts is a big thing for me, and big fun, and like I said, it always has lots of blood and guts, so that's why it's so easily reaching my top 10. The last one I failed to see right away, and that's why it didn't really reach into the top 10, but had I had seen it, it probably would have. So I'm glad I was on time this time and got to watch it on schedule here. I was hoping to get the review out, prior to it, being released, but unfortunately I didn't get that far. But I got it in, of course, as you guys see. So I'm happy about that. So, as far as since this is new, yeah, I'll try to keep it kind of spoiler free. I'm going to maybe touch just a little bit on the shorts here, and what is happening, and talk about what I liked and I didn't like. I since there are a couple of them, I actually don't usually do this. Made a few notes just so that I would remember and so forth. But anyway, so enough of this blabber here. We'll get into this. As you can see, I'm a little bit excited about this one. So, I would say the one thing about maybe the VHS series and some of them is usually the wraparound story. Sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes it's weird to imagine that, how that wraparound story, is, included in all these other ones. And, here it might be a little weird too, because the wraparound story is basically the main one, before each of these shorts kind of starts is a laboratory. And, it really doesn't have, as from what I could tell, have anything to do with the shorts that we were watching. But, it just seems to be the story that we go back to after each one. So I guess, that's the basis of the wraparound. But it is a fun, thing, and definitely gets into the blood of the moment of what I'm telling you guys that I like. As they continuously have these people go into a room and open a can of soda, and kind of like they think they're there just to taste test it. And, all kinds of things go wrong every time, a person drinks this. Some of them start bleeding from the mouth. Some of them explode. Some of them become possessed. Obviously, the can is got something to do with possession or some evil in it. And, I guess they're looking for the right person to kind of drink it and have the right reaction. So that's, it becomes a really fun thing every time we go back, because every time it goes back to this, you see someone else in the room. Sometimes there's multiple people in the room. And, just bad stuff happens every time. So, that's a lot of fun in itself. Then I think, the first one kind of brought me back to, again, I think I saw one or two, kind of out of order or whatever, but it reminded me of the one, again, I don't know if it was the last one or the one prior to that, where the police officers kind of went into a house and, they got a call there, and then it just got crazier and crazier as they went through this house and so forth. So this one kind of reminded me of that, because these two girls are out trick-or-treating. They end up going to this house. There's been, I think there was a story where another young girl, or maybe multiples, had gone missing recently. And, I guess this house had some tie into that or so forth. They end up in the house. Things kind of start going wrong, and, they try to get out, but they can't. And, of course, they're filming this the entire time. As we know with the VHS series, everything's kind of found footage or filmed and so forth. So, yeah, just, it kind of is a similar thing. As they're going through this house, it just gets a little bit crazier and crazier and crazier as it goes. And this one kind of has to do with a mother and so forth. And it just is very wild, and just where it ends is very weird. Almost kind of brought me back to Barbarian and where that kind of ended up going. So yeah, and we'll leave it at that. But that was yeah, another one, very on the strange tilt that one. The next one I think is one, maybe that for some true crime fans will like. This one, I think this one was obviously a little bit of a foreign film. I think it was in Spanish, and it was where they, someone had committed a crime, killed some people, where he was accused of, I should say, and then they, but he really wasn't sure, of what it was, how it happened or what happened. So they basically take him back to this house, and where it happened, and kind of as they go back, we kind of see this flashback of the actual events of the night, where a group of friends go into this house, and I think one girl kind of leads it, and I don't remember if they started like a seance or something like that, but a phone just randomly appears in the middle of the room, and he's the one that picks it up. And then let's just say, some bad stuff happens after he picks up the phone. So I know, we're expecting black phone to happen soon. This is a black phone, and other bad stuff is going to happen with it. So yeah, then it flips back to, where they are, and the cops are there, and they're asking him questions. And, bad stuff happens all over again. I'll just say that. That was another fun kind of ending. Had some good stuff in it as well. Let's see, the next one. Oh man, this next one, I think, you guys have seen on social media, if you followed Shudder and something, I think this one was called Fun Size. And, it starts off, fairly innocently. You see, I think it was two couples. They go knock on a door, and there's a big bowl of candy outside, and it says, just take one. So, of course, they all originally were going to take one, but then one of them gets a little bit greedy. It's like, come on, you guys know, all the time, you go up, people leave bowls out there, some people are nice, you take one or two or whatever, but there are other greedy people, and they just want to take the whole bowl or half the bowl, throw it in their bag and so forth. So this one, kind of goes and grabs the second one. But that was not a good idea, as he gets sucked down into the bowl, and before you know it, everybody kind of ends up in this candy kind of factory here, and you see this weird guy with this weird, face on, and he's kind of laughing, and of course they're freaked out, And again, it's just another blood-soaked adventure here, as you know, they're trying to escape the factory, escape this crazy, kind of mascot-looking guy, and basically they're getting chopped up, putting through this machine, and become their own type of candy. So that was a really fun one. That was a little crazy. I like, if you really were gonna with the Halloween theme, I think, the first one, the first one kind of starts off, the girls are trick-or-treating, but you don't, really, feel it. The second one obviously, was not, when they flash back, it was a Halloween kind of theme. But I think this one, just because the way it starts and the whole candy bowl thing really got you into the Halloween mode here. And then, it's all about the candy, even though, they become the candy, but it is all about that. I don't know, just something about this one. Definitely, I think, when they were marketing it, I think they kind of felt that this one would stand out, and definitely did, in my mind. I think it was called Fun Size, had a lot of fun with it. A huge fun size here, and so forth. And I even liked the way it ended. The next one was, I would say, I don't know. It was a little weird. I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. This one I was. I don't know. I guess this one of all of them was just the one that was kind of like, I think, as this one kind of started, it kind of goes like this. Obviously, as you watch this, everybody has ones they like. It's 5 or 6 shorts here, counting the wraparound. And then, you have some that you like and some that you don't. So, I don't know. I guess I wasn't feeling that one as much on that one. So, the last one, I'm just not going to mention that one. The last one, I think, was a lot of chaos, and I think that's what kind of made it. Otherwise, I didn't think it was maybe as original as some of the other ones, as this one kind of starts off showing a father and a son, and kind of their tradition of building a haunted house in there every year for Halloween. And then obviously now the kid is older, he doesn't really want to do it. But the father still manages to convince him to go to the store, look for stuff. He buys this record, plays this record in the haunted house when they open it with, some people have come inside with them. And let's just say, when the record plays, it kind of brings all kinds of things, within the haunted house alive, and then other things alive. And it just causes other chaos and, starts killing all different kinds of things kind of start killing people. I think the beginning of it was pretty cool when I guess there's these sheets that come down, ghosts, obviously you put up the sheets. I thought that was pretty cool, the sheets that kind of came alive and how they ended up, grabbing the people and so forth. After that, it was kind of fun because of the chaos, but besides that, I didn't think that this one was maybe as original as some of the others, just because it just seemed like a haunted house, with things, coming alive to kill people. Still was fun and good, but it just maybe wasn't as kind of unique or as some of the other ones. So yeah, and then of course, when we have the wraparound, that ends in a fun way as well to kind of finish it off. But yeah, so like I said, I'm a fan of most of these shorts. As usual, everybody's going to have their one that they really like and maybe one they really didn't. But it was still a good mixture of films. You had some strange stuff, you had some chaos, as I said, and definitely blood and guts, spread throughout. So, I was once again pleased, once again happy with this one. Again, it is great to see a franchise kind of be revived and done again. I know that this is not necessarily for everybody, because not everybody's for the blood and guts and the strangeness and the chaos. Everybody's, maybe not for short films. This is, a little bit different. It's not, a whole hour and a half, 2 hour regular movie. It is essentially a bunch of shorts put together. But if you enjoy short films, this is a big plus for you and so forth. Um, and then there's the found footage element. If you guys follow me, I'm not necessarily the huge found footage fan. But I guess, in this one, in a way, not all of them really, catch you in the same way as the usual found footage you see. It is just basically, just kind of recorded because it is VHS. I don't know. For this kind of thing, I let it slide regardless. I would say, maybe the first one with the girls, I'm like, they clearly are filming of all the ones, some of them you just kind of get that VHS, kind of being filmed thing, and then others you get, more of that feel of it, the real feel of it being filmed. And that one, the first one was definitely, you got that feel of being, really filmed. Even the one in the laboratory, it's more like, yeah, it was filmed, but, who's really filming there? Did it really have a thing to do with what was going on? Maybe, maybe not. So, so with this one, I kind of let the found footage part kind of slide. I don't make a big complaint about it as I do if it was watching a whole found footage film. Because again, I say with found footage, drop the film. Shit starts happening, drop the camera and move on. Like, just why? But anyway, yeah, so definitely, some things that I could see, this is not for everybody, but, for others and so forth, I think, and again, this is one that I think, most of the I guess tweets I saw about it were in the positive area. So I think it's done well, and, I would expect, another shot at this, coming in the future. It seems to do well for Shudder, and seems to do well with horror fans. So why not? And kind of thinking about why not, I'm surprised that, we have not seen, more of something like this. I think, what was it, ABCs of Horror? I think, they did that for a short time around the same time they did VHS. So why not bring back, something like that, or more of these things where the short films are kind of tied together, even more anthologies, as opposed to, I said it at the top, these remakes and bringing back franchises that probably are fine just being left as they are. Yeah, they're at the heart of horror fans and so forth, but then you play them and then horror fans just get mad. Like, why'd you do that? As opposed to doing all that, why not, branch into something like this? More anthologies, more putting together short films. There are tons of great short films if you just go through YouTube. I know that, maybe some of the reason is that horror fans might not take the time to go searching for them. Obviously, if you're following the right person, if you're following someone like Promote Horror, I share short films all the time. I share them even on my own Horror's reviews, and even with Dexter the intern. I share short films all the time, good or bad. I share them. So why not put some together? And there's some great people out there putting great short films together. So more of that would be appreciated than some of the recycled stuff. I mean, please help us here. But yeah, so enough of that. Enough of putting my position on things. I enjoyed this one. If you've not seen it yet, please do. Especially if you've enjoyed any of the other ones. It'll definitely something you want to watch. It is the Halloween season, so it is definitely a great time to watch this. Even if you want to wait closer to Halloween or Halloween night, definitely something to watch. If you're looking for a lot of people like to do multiples, watching multiple things during this time of year. If you want to break out the entire VHS series, do it. Lots of great stuff there. It's hard to remember everything from the original couple, but definitely the ones that they've done recently, are just fun stuff to watch. Obviously, be of age and so forth, because these are crazy, wild, and plenty of blood. But yeah, so with this one, I don't remember specifically what I've given some of the other ones, but with this one, I think I'm going to give a solid 4 pools of blood. Again, enjoyed it. Really enjoyed Fun Size. Enjoyed the wraparound and probably the first two, for sure. But yeah, 4 pools of blood out of 5 for this one. So with that, horrorreviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all my reviews, written and video. Certainly mostly video reviews for a long time now. So you can like and subscribe and do everything else everybody wants you to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries. It is okay. I thank you for your time regardless. We can go back to VHS if you want. That must have been fun back in the day. Anyway, Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. You can like, subscribe, not subscribe, but like and follow there as well. And join me to talk about the other VHS series, this one. And definitely in the comment section, if you have a favorite short of this or favorite VHS, feel free to throw it in there. I'm curious to see what you guys like. One day I probably have to look at all of them and say, which one do I really like the most. Probably have to think back, watch the original couple, before to kind of remember exactly what was all there. But anyway, with that, I'll catch you on the next review, horror fans.